The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. You know what Wednesdays mean. It means Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek Metro Parks is with us, as well as Scotty Mitcher. And we are also going to be joined by a very special guest today, right off the jump from United Golf. It is Maddie Ysn popping in, and let's get her in on board as soon as I find my cursor. There it is. Maddie Ysn from United. Very special guest. Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you so much for having me again.
You got it. Before we ask you all these awesome questions about your golf career, you have a very special announcement, I've been told, about the future that you're going to have in golf, and we want to give you the time to make that announcement to the people exclusively here on YSN.
I've verbally committed to YSU for being a redshirt, which means I won't play the first year, but next 4 years I'll be eligible to play. And I've verbally committed to YSU. That's
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Be a Penguin, and we are so happy to hear that. Maddie, I want to ask about that decision. What kind of went into it, and what kind of things made you feel like Youngstown State was home?
I put a lot of effort and time into deciding. I was on a recruiting website, NCSA, and I took a lot of visits over the summer, and I took a lot of time putting in spreadsheets, seeing what really fit with me. And I was really impressed with YSU's business school. I already visited for business, and then I visited for golf as well. And at the end of the day, I wanted to try to swing at D1. I didn't want to regret not trying to be a D1 athlete. I was really impressed by Coach Mikolos, and I was impressed by what I heard about the team, and I want to help YSU win a league championship.
That's awesome. Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek Metro Parks. You know the YSU program so well, and obviously you know Maddie Ysn pretty well as well. How do you think Maddie kind of fits into this program at YSU, and what kind of things should she expect out of Youngstown State?
Number one, I think she's a perfect fit for the Penguins, and that's first and foremost. And number two, it's going to be awesome to be able to see her play the next 4 years, 5 years, being redshirted at Mill Creek, because they call Mill Creek home. We host a number of their invitationals. We do the Kickoff Classic, and we do the Roseanne Schwartz Invitational. So, there's plenty of potential home tournaments for her to participate in. She won our junior championship this past summer with Shaylee McElroy from West Branch. She shot 72 here, and the greatest golfer for the women's division. I mean, just spectacular all the way around, and how she's played and how she's progressed throughout her career at United. And it's awesome to be able to keep a solid local talent right here at home and YSU.
Like you said, right here at home, Maddie, how much did right here at home fit into this decision, knowing that you're not going far at all? You're right at YSU. You get to play at Mill Creek for a home course. How much did that go into this decision at YSU?
I'd say only a little bit. I'd rather stay close to home within 2 hour, 1 hour range. But I'd say it was more the school and the golf that really drew me in. And Mill Creek, I I didn't used to like it. I wasn't very good at it, but then I started playing well at it and I learned to love it. It's a lot like, I'd say, the gray course.
All right, so let's talk about this United golf season. Obviously, you come in this year, you have all a lot of records under your belt already, and you start off really strong, and you have a lot of golf still to be played at United this year. What are some things that you're looking at this year that you wanted to accomplish? Some personal goals that you set.
My goals, I'd say my first goal, first and foremost, is to help my team make it to district. I want my team to make it. I've been there personally twice, but I want my team to come with me this year. And we put a lot of time and effort in the off season. Lucian Cole, he let us use his simulator over the winter, and we put a lot of time and effort into becoming really good this year to make it. And I'd say personal goals is I want to get back to state and I want to win. That is a lofty goal, but I'd say it's a goal that I really want to make. I know I have a stacked district. There's 3 or 4, 5 really good girls that I have to compete against. I'd say I want to break 70 for 18, and I want to break 30 for 9.
Brian, you always bring such great insight to these interviews and golf-centered questions that I don't think me and Scotty would have the insight to ask. What are some things when you kind of learned that Maddie was going to be on the show today that you were really dying to ask her?
Well, I think number one, and it goes for everybody that comes on here, what got you started into golf? I mean, what brought you to the game, and what are your favorite things about the game of golf and the sport?
I'd say I started with a family friend, Katie D's, and I wasn't really serious about golf throughout my junior high year. I started really late into golf. I'd say I only got really serious about it end of freshman year. So I'd say I'm very green to golf. And some things I love about it are the things I hate about it. I love how inconsistent it can be. I love that it's unpredictable. You can have a great shot and it might blow off the green. I love that because it's a consistent challenge for me. I'm never gonna play the same course twice and have the same score. It's always going to be a challenge. I can always find new shots, and I'm always going to hit different shots.
What were some of your things during the off season that you did a little bit different, going in from, say, your freshman year to sophomore to now your junior to senior year to prepare yourself for what is your senior season of high school golf?
I'd say I worked more on my short game. I have a little putting green down in my basement, and I worked really hard on putting and chipping. And I'd say it's still not very consistent with my short game, and I really need to work on it. It's a weakness of mine, and I know it. I'm working on it, and I put more effort into it now.
Well, the pretty cool news is when you go play collegiate golf, you've got a great golf coach with Nate Miklos. Him and Tony Joy have done wonders for Youngstown State University when it comes to men's and women's golf. And, they put in a ton of time during the off season. So you're going to see a lot of that as well with coach and what he does in the Trestle Watts Center. So going forward, what do you think your goal is from a collegiate perspective once you've wrapped up your high school career?
I'd say take the first year to figure out how to become a student athlete, which, since I'm being redshirted, is really good because I'm not able to play out of state tournaments, I believe. So I'll discover how to be a student athlete at D1 level, and then I'll help ISU win a league championship.
Awesome stuff.
Maddie, what I want to know, and this is something we also ask golfers, 2-part question. What's the favorite course you've played at so far? And then what is a course that's on your dream list that you haven't been able to play yet so far that you want to play at?
I like a lot of courses. I like Pine Lakes. I always play good there. I like the Avalon, Squaw Creek, and then Avalon, the separate one. I like them both. I do really well at Squaw Creek. Let me think. I like Mill Creek now. Let me think. I like the gray course. I didn't play well at it, but the conditions I weren't used to. I was young, and now I'm used to wind. I think that's it. I like those the best. Oh, I like Salem Hills. I play there a lot. And I use my driver a lot when I really shouldn't. I cut corners a lot. And a dream course of mine. I didn't get to play on the Scarlet course, but it looked really interesting when I was at state. The bunkers were so deep. I'm like, how are you going to hit all of that? You have to hit straight up. But it looked really interesting, and I'd really love to play on it someday. I highly doubt that, though, but it looked interesting from what I could see.
Scotty, I want to bring you into the fold. You always have a great question to ask our guests. So what's on your mind? What do you want to know from Maddie?
Yeah, Maddie. So I was just wondering, give me one, or maybe you could give me a couple if you have them. Some of the most influential people during your young career, your golf career, and is there anybody you like kind of like model your play after?
I have a lot of people I could thank. I'd like to thank my parents. My mom's my coach. I kind of peer pressured her into it. And my dad, he took me during softball season because I have a later start than most golfers. I have softball and then straight into golf. He used to take me every Sunday to Pine Lakes, and we'd play there for 4 to 5 hours, just practicing, putting, chipping in the cold most of the time. We'd have to bundle up and hit, so I'd really like to thank him for that because it probably wasn't fun practicing out in the cold with me. I'd like to thank Todd Franco. He really started me into tournaments with the greatest golfer. I'd like to thank Cole's Landing. He let us use his simulator. I'd say Dave Dees. He's my caddy. But also he's kind of my golf mentor. He really is really into golf, and he's really good at mapping out courses for me, and it really helped me get better. And I'd like to thank Joe Allen. He's my swing coach. I definitely wouldn't be the golfer I am today. And last year, I made a bet with him that if I made it to state, he would help me map out the course, the practice round. And unfortunately for him, it was wet and rainy and cold. So, sorry. And I think that's about it. Coach Charchette. He's the boys coach, and I had to play with the boys my first 2 years, and I'd like to thank him for introducing me into high school golf.
So you have the school record with a score of 31, which means you're a heck of a putter, and you won the longest drive for the greatest golfer. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
So you bomb it off the tee, apparently, and you're a good putter. What is your favorite go-to if you had one club to choose in that golf bag that you know that you're going to hit 10 out of 10 right where you want to hit it? What's your go-to club?
I believe I answered this last year as the same thing, 56. I'd freak out if it wasn't in my bag. I would freak out. Any other club, I'm like, oh, it's okay. Well, my putter might be. That might be a challenge. But I'd say my 56 is my favorite club.
That's awesome. Wedge game, most important part of the game, 100 yards and in, and what you can do from 50 and 25. And, putting in the time during the off season is unbelievably important. And, having grown up on Pine Lakes as a kid myself, that's where I went to high school when it was called Hubbard Golf Course. That's how old I am. But I used to play so many rounds there and chipped and putted there, and they didn't have a range when I was there. So that's a great facility, and it's open all year round to be able to play and practice. So, your work in the off season is definitely paid off through your wins in the summer and, going into high school season here. So we're super proud of that and super proud of you being a part of the Youngstown State golf team going forward. So that's going to be huge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And first and foremost, congratulations on that verbal commitment to Youngstown State. Like Brian said, we're so proud of you for being able to do that and become a college athlete at the D1 level. We also want to thank you for your time, and we wish you the best of luck this senior season at United, and can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You
Good
got
luck
it.
in school and good luck in golf.
Thank you so much.
Maddie Zines from United Golf joining us, and what a great student athlete, our first golf interview of the year, and it's going to be a first to me that we're going to bring on this segment with Brian Tolnar. Brian, I know you've watched Maddie a lot. She's played at Mill Creek a lot. She's been very successful in the Greatest Golfer Tournament. What are some things real quick that stand out about you to her game and some of the things that you make you confident that she's going to be successful at the next level?
I just think first and foremost, the scores that she's putting up. I mean, to shoot 72 in the Greatest Golfer in the adult division, her play as a junior. I mean, she's played unbelievably well under high pressure situations, which bodes well for collegiate golf, especially at the Division I level. Her ability to shoot, record scores for her school over a number of years, over the past 3-4 years, and heading into her senior year, and having the opportunity to be able to break her own personal records there and the school records as well, I think are phenomenal. And then, such a surprise that today, when she announced that she's going to Youngstown State. So that just adds to the roster of talent here at Youngstown State. And it's also awesome to be able to see some of the local kids compete at the Division I level here locally at home at our home university here with Youngstown State. So, very impressed with that, very impressed with her off-season work ethic. Based on the questions that she answered in her interview, she's definitely putting in the time and the effort that's necessary to be a Division I collegiate golfer.
When you see a golfer start late, like she started her freshman year and have so much success really quickly, what kind of things do you attribute that to?
Well, I think it comes down to, what your situation is home. Are you playing other sports? Are there other duties at home? I didn't start playing till I was in 7th or 8th grade, just before my freshman year, and decided that I wanted to go out for the golf team, played football, basketball, and baseball. And the desire just wasn't there to play golf. And my aunts and uncles and family members played that would drag me around. And I was more interested in looking for golf balls in the woods than playing, to be quite honest with you. And then, you start being 110 pounds as a freshman, and football is really not your forte when you're that light and you're 5'5" or 5'6" and going into your freshman year. So you look at some alternative sports, and for me, golf was a great addition to all the sports that I participated in. I really enjoyed the competition of it. I really enjoyed probably the most, and it's odd, that I say this, but I enjoyed the preparation, the practice, the off-season work, the hours of hitting golf balls and playing and preparing, more so than I enjoyed the tournaments, because I enjoyed trying to get better and trying to raise the bar. And I think that she has a lot of that in her game when we talk about Maddie, just trying to get better and improve day in and day out. And, I don't think it's a hindrance starting late. I think, some people mature at different sports differently. And I think, with the scores that she's shooting 31s in high school and girls high school golf is pretty impressive, to make it down to state a couple of times with an opportunity to make it here her senior year. I think that that's very special too. And I think it just goes to show you that she is willing to put the time in. And it's, there's no good or great time or better time to start or participate in a sport. Although, the earlier start, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. Sometimes you get burnt out and don't want to continue on. So I think timing's definitely right. And I think it's, her career has certainly showed that as a high schooler, and now, going to be moving on after the end of this year, her senior year, to Youngstown State to play collegiately.
Let Brian and Maddie be proof that there is not just one path to success. You don't have to start super early to be successful in a sport. You don't have to be Tiger Woods beating Bob Hope as a 10-year-old on the putting green. You can start whenever you get that passion for it, and if you work hard, you're gonna succeed at what you do. Brian, we want to also in this segment, as always, give you the chance to update us on Mill Creek this week and what's going on down there at Mill Creek Metro Parks and what people should be excited about in the following week.
Well, hopefully we're headed into a week with not too much rain tonight, as they're forecasting. Last week was a little bit rough around the edges, but we managed to get in the high school invitationals for Canfield, the boys and the girls. And we also ended up getting in the Cardinal Classic, which is another high school invitational this past Friday, and the Cheney Cowboys alumni outing on Saturday, which was a double shotgun on both courses. So very busy week. We managed to get it in within the raindrops. This week has been excellent. High school golf started their 9-hole matches last week and this week here at Mill Creek. So it's certainly action packed. And then our Fridays and Saturday evenings with family fun night, always is a great way to complete your week and to get the whole family to go out and tee it up for $25 after 5 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday afternoon. Certainly something that'll continue on. We've got an outing on Friday and then just regular play this weekend. One of the few that we won't have very much in the way of golf outings, but the weeks after that, we'll have some outings pretty much Friday, Saturday, Sunday through the end of October. So very, very active with high school matches right now and open play, and folks are just coming out, having a good time and being able to play.
Brian, we want to thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule every week to join us on Wednesdays and talk golf, and hopefully get as many athletes as we can on with you to talk their high school careers. We have so many good golfers in the area, so many of them that call Mill Creek home, and then so many of them that are outside of the Mill Creek home schools as well. So thank you again for taking the time, and we'll see you again next week on another episode of Running Point.
Appreciate it, guys. Always love talking golf, and especially here in the Moaning Valley. There's so much good junior play, high school play, collegiate, and adult with the greatest golfer of the valley. So, if you're into playing golf, this is the place to be.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself. Brian, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Have a good one, Brian.
Scotty. Welcome to a Wednesday episode, and what a way to do it, to have Maddie Zines on and give us the official YSN exclusive announcement that she will be continuing her golf career at Youngstown State University. That is like I said, that is the exclusive announcement. It hadn't been put out to the public before that. So what a way to start off Running Point. How are we doing today, Scotty?
I'm doing great, especially after that. Anthony, we've been doing this for a while together, but I really I don't know why it takes me by surprise, but every time, man, with these young student athletes, just their maturity level and just the answers they give and the way they view their sport, their craft, it is super impressive, man.
It really is, Scotty. And one of the things that I love about interviewing these kids is, like you said, you're always kind of pleasantly surprised, and it shouldn't surprise us anymore. These kids are coming on, and I laughed myself into a cough. That these kids are coming on and being so well spoken and so mature, but every time we bring on someone new or someone that we've had on before, it just seems like I'm just blown away by how well spoken and how mature and good these athletes are in our area. I think we're blessed with amazing high school athletes across the board in this Youngstown Valley. I would be hard pressed to find another area, Tri-County area, maybe you could say. Definitely in the YSN family, we're way more than Tri-County, but any little suburb area where you would find more widespread, just not just talent, but just good people in high school athletics.
Yeah, for sure. And it's gonna be such an exciting addition to the Youngstown State program, and it's always good because I I know you do too. We know the game better than before because of guys like Brian, who,
Absolutely,
like you said, takes his time out every week to join us, and just hearing them two, converse and talk about the game and golf, and just hearing them talk about the what it takes and the certain courses we have and everything like that. It's always definitely educational because we can't give answers as good as they can. So
Brian's taught us a lot about golf, and then Gary has taught us a lot about wrestling in the winter. So we're happy that both those guys give us their time to have the Wednesday segments in the fall and winter sports. Scotty, let's look at the scoreboard real quick from last night and see what went down on the network and some winners of games both on volleyball and soccer from last night's action. And we had a lot of it. Like I said on yesterday's show, it was a busier day than Monday because now you see all these volleyball teams kind of in full swing. I think to recant, I don't think everyone has had their first game, but most teams in the YSN coverage map have had their first games after last night. And soccer was in action as well. Let's look at the volleyball scores real quick. We have Southern and East Palestine. There was no score reported for that one, so we'll move over to Camel and Salem. Salem gets swept by the Red Devils 3-0. Lakeview gets off to a good start in the NE8 3-0 with the win there. They are the reigning NE8 champions. They split it with Gerard last season. Beaver Local gets the sweep over Minerva on the volleyball court last night. Urson with the impressive sweep over Hallen, 3-0. Struthers goes into the Fieldhouse in Poland and wins 3-1 in 4 sets over the Bulldogs. South Range makes a dramatic comeback over Niles, down 2-0, come back and win 3 in a row to win that one in 5, 3-2 over the Red Dragons. Gerard went to Boardman and got the sweep over the Spartans in Boardman. So on the road, good first win for Gerard there. We have Lisbon getting the 4-set victory over Latonia. Western Reserve and Middle Ridge, we knew this was going to be a big game. Both teams are going to be probably at the top of the MVAC when it's all said and done. They fought, very closely last year for a championship. And this year, no different. A 5-set thriller that Western Reserve ends up winning in 5, 3-2. And that'll be a big win for the Blue Devils when we talk about the picture of the MVAC going forward. Liberty is 2-0. They have 2 wins in 2 days, 3-0 over East. We have Hoban beating Canfield in Akron, 3-0. They swept the Cardinals. We have United falling to Wellsville in straight sets. Springfield beats Lowville in 4 sets, 3-1. McDonald sweeps Jackson Milton. A big night for McDonald's Megan Klockner, who got her 1,000th career assist last night. And then last but not least, on the volleyball side, Waterloo and Sebring did play, but their score was unreported. Let's go to some girls soccer. Pymatuning Valley beats Edgewood 4-1. We saw Badger and Rootstown end in a tie, and then Columbiana falls to United 6-1 there. And then if I can find there's my mouse, and then scroll over to, let's see if the page will let me see the scores for boys soccer. It might be cut off on my screen. It is. So we'll just do the quick fix, Scotty, and we'll go to our graphics department on our Instagram page. Make sure to follow us on social media to get the final score graphics that we post every night. Let's look at some of these soccer finals that we had from last night in boys soccer. Crestview and Jackson Milton, they end in a tie, and that is a 1-1 tie with those two. Pymatuning Valley swept the boys-girl doubleheader with Edgewood because their boys won 3-2. Mooney and Howland, a big primetime matchup in boys soccer. They end in a tie as well, the 1-1 the score there. Then we have Hubbard boys beating Fitch 2-0. And those are the scores that we got from the soccer field last night. So that'll do it for the scores, Scotty. Anything that really stands out to you with the scores that we got reported on last night, whether it be volleyball or soccer?
I was really, I read about it this morning, but that the polling in Canfield, the way that one ended, man, what a finish that was.
Matt Marr got treated to an excellent matchup last night, and Poland, like Scotty just said, pulled it out of the jaws of defeat with 2 late goals to beat Canfield in the Battle of 224.
Yeah, 2 late goals. The last one was with about 25 takes on the
Yeah, the
clock.
clock was definitely ticking. That's for sure. It was definitely in the 0 hour when Poland got that last goal to win the game. And they were kind of getting dominated. You look at the way that game flowed. And to that point, Canfield had outshot them, and they were getting more attacks. They were just owning the possession of the ball. And all of a sudden, Poland just finds a little bit crease in that defense, and they get 2 late goals, and they win a 2-1 game in a game that was leaning towards Canfield most of the time.
Yeah, I think it was last week it had to be 2 weeks ago because you weren't here last week, but we were talking about momentum in sports, Anthony, and it's always like people always talk about who has the momentum and this and that, but it's like the momentum could change like just like that sometimes, like in the blink of an eye. And you really, like, after reading about that game, like if you didn't, if you just took it and looked at that, you'd say, how did Canfield not hold on to that one? But you get that first goal and it kind of gives you that, okay, we can do this now. And then Canfield in the back of their mind, when they give up the tie, they might, it's human nature to maybe
at that point, you're like, okay, we can get out of here with a draw,
Yeah.
And then Poland says, not so fast, my friend. It was Jacob Hayes that scored the equalizer for Poland. And then Ryan Nye got the game winner with, like Scotty said, 25 seconds left on the clock to win it in dramatic fashion over Canfield in the Battle of 224. 2-1, the final score there. Scotty, one of the things that I was impressed with, the teams that were dominant last year that lost big names, Girard and Lakeview, they both got sweeps on the road against pretty impressive teams that a lot of people are high on, with Boardman coming into that game 1-0 already with a win over Hoover on the road. And then Hubbard is a team that a lot of the NE8 coaches are kind of looking at, saying that they could be a wild card, and Lakeview and Girard respectively go into both of those places, both on the road, and they both get a really dominant sweep. I was really impressed to see both those teams lose big names, obviously the big senior class to Lakeview, and then Girard losing a big senior class as well. Both of them just went in and took care of business. The programs right now, very early, just one game in, look strong and well in Lakeview and Girard.
Yeah, for sure, certainly. And we've seen it in a lot of other sports too, like the more and more programs that have developed, they just keep piping out, talent. And it's like a lot of these programs now, they lose talent, but it's like it doesn't even seem like they're necessarily like in a reboot or rebuilding. They reload. So
all right, let's take a break here on Running Point. When we come back, we're going to find out what's on Scotty's mind like we do every week. It might be a dangerous thing to do. Sometimes, Scotty, you never know what's going to come out of his mind, but we love to do it on Wednesdays, and we're going to do that after the break here on YSN. Be right back on Running Point, brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication. passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. You can see them above our heads. We are always thankful for their constant support of Running Point and sponsorship of this show since day one. Scotty, always bring good stuff on your mind to the show every week, I should say, not every year. Can you imagine this was a yearly thing? Every once a year we're just going to bring Scotty around.
Once a year.
Every week.
They don't even see my face when it's that once a year. It's like a bag over my head.
Our special guest over there. Scotty, what is on your mind today on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
So I was wondering, Anthony, I know that a lot of stuff is saved for the Super Friday show during the season, and Running Point and also Power Hour. But I was just I wanted to talk about on the show today with you high school football week number 1. What's the thing that maybe surprised you the most, or one of the biggest surprises for you from week 1? And then give me a team or maybe a couple of teams that you think they didn't necessarily start ideal, but you don't necessarily think that it's gonna be an indicator, an omen for how the season's going to go. In other words, you think they're going to, bounce back and turn it around.
All right, so I will start with my biggest surprise from the scoreboard, and I was watching from Kansas City. So one of the things that really, I was watching it unfold, and I was like, man, this is not going the way I thought it would, was McDonald and Southern. Those are two teams that had dramatically different years last year, with Southern having such a successful season, and then McDonald just trying to rebuild the program and trying to build momentum inside the program. And tables were turned because McDonald came into this year, and that was probably a game that they thought when they scheduled it was really going to test them and maybe sharpen their teeth a little bit for that MVAC schedule. But Southern and McDonald, both teams that love to run the ball, love to be physical, and it was McDonald that came out on top, and I was surprised by that. I was kind of taken away by it, and I don't know if it's a picture of how either team season is going to go. Obviously, there's still 9 games left, and I think that's really important to know. In week 1, you can't be too overreactive of anything you see because so much can happen in the course of 9 weeks before we get to playoffs. But that one really took me back. I give major props to McDonald for going in and winning against a team that had such a good season a year ago and has been successful for a couple of years in a row now. So what a big win for that program, trying to build momentum back into a McDonald football team that is historically really, really, really good. So, you always say with those kind of programs, you're not going to be down, quote unquote, for long. So, McDonald proving it with a big week 1 win over Southern. I was really impressed with that. One of the teams that, took a loss and the scoreboard really didn't favor them well, but I think is going to be just fine. And I've said it a lot. I'll say it again, West Branch. I'm really high on Bo Alsace. He threw an early pick, came back, and made that game competitive for about 3 quarters, and then Canfield had a really good fourth quarter to make that score a little bit lopsided. But I think West Branch is going to be fine. They have plenty of offensive weapons. They have, like I said, Alsace in the quarterback situation is going to be okay, and I think he showed a lot of grit. You're in your first varsity start, Scotty, and you throw an early pick. That could be easily, wheels coming off the wagon, territory there. And it never did. And like I said, he got West Branch right back in the game, made a couple of big plays, and until that fourth quarter where Canfield just kind of put the afterburners on and scored in a couple of possessions in a row, Alsace had West Branch in position to really fight for the win in that game. So I think West Branch is going to be fine. Game 1 against a reigning state champion, that's tough. And so you take your loss, you take the lessons that come with it, and you realize it's this week 1. I think the league is right in front of them. I think the EBC is a one that West Branch can still win, and I think they have a lot to look forward to after that loss to Canfield.
Yeah, and you've been a guy you've been high on and expected a lot from West Branch this season, even going back to our conversations about last year and Drew DeShields, and you've talked about how, like, before he got there, it was who was going to replace their previous quarterback. Then he got there, didn't really miss a beat, and you kind of expected the same. And to stay that poised and keep them in that game, really, like you said, until the fourth quarter, when Canfield pulled away, especially after you're just taking over and you throw an interception. That does say a lot about mental toughness for sure. So it'll be very interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, not just for the defending state champs, but for West Branch as well. And then McDonald, I learned a long time ago, Anthony, not to ever just not to ever count McDonald out in any game. Maybe it's because they beat on my Rockets so much when I was back in high school. But yeah, I was, because Southern did have such a good season last year. I was, you know, I didn't necessarily think. I thought McDonald could win. I didn't necessarily think in the way that they did, like it would happen in that way. But I wasn't quite as surprised as you, just because, like, I underestimated McDonald when I was younger, and then I would always pay for it. But the other thing is, as far as my surprises and teams that I still think are gonna be okay, I gotta tell you, Anthony, I was very surprised. Not that, because I had your boys winning, I had South Range winning, but I was very surprised they won in the fashion that they did. And it just looks like, they didn't, they're not gonna miss a beat. And again, it's one game. 9 weeks ago, a lot of season left, but I expected that game to be down to the wire, and the Raiders championship medal to come through at the end. I didn't expect it to be them winning going away, but also for Springfield, they started off slow last year. I believe they were on 4, and then they rebounded nicely. So I don't think the sky is falling for that program either. But I was really impressed by your Raiders.
I made this comment on the Power Hour on Monday when DJ was talking about South Range and what they were able to do on Friday. And when I was in high school, it was a quote unquote downtime for South Range football. I mean, they weren't like as dominant as we were used to seeing them in the years past, but they were still winning 7 games. Like they're a winning program that just knows how to win, and that culture for winning programs doesn't go away. Players graduate, eventually legendary coaches retire, and that's what happened this year with Coach Hagley, hanging up the hat and giving it to David Rock. But the culture, the winning culture at places like that, this doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. And South Range, I think a lot of people this offseason were talking about what they lost. Lost all the talent on the field, lost their coach. Well, what are they going to look like? And South Range said, we're going to look like we always look like. We're going to have a winning mentality. We're going to go into every game with the South Range attitude that we're going to win. And, they might not win every game this year, but they're going to be a winning program. They're going to be a team that goes out there every night and expects to win, not hopes to win, not feels like they're going to win, but they're one of those teams that goes in and they're just, no matter who's on the other side of the field, we expect to win this game. We feel like we are going to win this game. And you can't really, you can coach that, but it takes a long time to coach it. It's not something that just turns the switch on. And because of that, it doesn't just turn off either. The winning culture is always going to be there at South Range. And, when you add that to the fact that it's Springfield and it's the rivalry and it's the one that everyone gets up for. And if you can't get up for Springfield South Range as a fan of either one of those teams, then check your pulse. There was no way in the world that I felt like South Range was going to go into that game and not have their best game, and they did. They went out there and they dominated and they won 41-14. But like you said, Springfield, same story last year. South Range kind of beat them up a little bit. They went 0-3, I think, in the non-conference. And then lost to Lowville the next week, so they were 0-4 if I remember right. And they still very good year, went to the playoffs and almost beat Warren JFK out of the playoffs. So Sean Guerrero runs a really good program. He's got those kids playing hard for him. They have a lot of talent. So I'm not down on Springfield just for losing in the first game of the year to a former state champion. So same, I think it's the same. It's actually the same picture for South Range. For Springfield as it is for West Branch. You went up against a reigning state champion that has a ton of winning tradition, and you got beat, but you pick yourself up and you say it's 9 games left, and what can we learn from that game? What can we do better? And you look at Springfield's schedule, a lot of games that they should win in that schedule. So I think Springfield's going to be a-okay, especially under the legendary head coach Sean Guerrero.
Yeah, I think so too. And you mentioned their run that they had last year. After that slow start in the first year without Bo Brungard. But I also think another team, it was it was definitely one of the more thrilling finishes, maybe the most thrilling finish of the first week. But I was happy to see my logo Rockets come out with the victory against Columbiana. But I think if Columbiana, if they play with that same type, if they bring that same type of energy, more times than not, you're gonna be able to finish the job and get some wins. And I recently, not too long ago, DJ did an interview with the head man out at Columbiana, Bob Spate, and I really I've liked him for years. I even interviewed him back before I started with YSN, and he would always give me a great interview when we covered games with the Purple Cat on Friday nights. But yeah, I think that was a tough one to swallow, especially when you had a couple touchdown lead and then you lose it when Lowville goes for two and converts it. That's
How about that
that's
though,
a bitter
Scotty?
pill.
The cojones for Louisville to say, hey, we could tie the game and go into the second overtime and see what happens there. But it's 21-20. We just scored a touchdown, and by golly, we're just going to go for two, win or lose on this play. And what a play it was, too. I mean, everyone's going to be talking about the quarterback, which made a great play in his own right, but those receivers had to kind of follow him and try to get open while he was on the scramble drill. So they really executed the scramble drill really well because that play was designed to go right. And, those little bootleg plays really, they're supposed to cut the field in half. So to go all the way back to the left side of the field on that just, crazy improvised, I have to find a way to make a play. The receivers have to do that too. They have to follow the quarterback. They have to try to give him an open look, and they did a really good job in that right. But I mean, my word, that play was incredible. I'm sure watching it in the audible call, Scotty, you probably just had a great reaction to that as a Lowville grad, and I know we don't root in the press box, but you had to have a little bit of a smile for that game-winning 2-point conversion.
Oh, definitely, for sure. That it's like you said, you want to show you want to be part. There's so many schools now a part of our family, the YSN family, but we always have encouraged. Like, I couldn't help but hold back the smile. We do encourage homers, and it was good because Radar was telling me, all week, and he was getting on me about they're not gonna have it for the
Man,
Clippers.
did you let Radar hear it? Please tell me you let him hear it.
Yeah, I did. He's got egg on his face now. Radar. So yeah,
well, I'll tell you what, Scotty, that was a really good game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Radar impression.
We need Radar in the comments. Where you at, buddy?
Yeah, where is he? I'm surprised.
Dang. But yeah,
this is about the time he'll ask a question.
I know.
With like 7 minutes.
Right in the midnight hour, it's always Radar popping in like, hey, I have a question for you. And we have like 5 minutes to, okay, let's answer it real quick. But Scotty, back to your point, like, yeah, when we put on the YSN hat and the YSN polo, we kind of, we're covering every school, and we give our energy to every athlete in every community. But at the end of the day, like, you can't take away the little bit of homers that we have. Like, I am a South Range alum. I went to South Range, very proud of that. And then I have a little bit of South Range love in me, and because you're the same way with Lowville. And I think every one of our announcers is like that in their own right too. I mean, able to do the job and give our energy and our support to every community. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, it's a little bit of homer in us, a little bit,
For sure. Still that homer, and
you can't take 12 years of your life away and just say, hey, you know what? Put that away, and all those times you spent in the student section of that school and rooting that school on, just forget about all that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're never able to totally wash that off.
Speaking of that, I spent my whole high school career watching South Range at the old South Range Stadium in North Lima, and a really cool segue to that is we go into the schedule for tonight, and Heartland Christian Boys Soccer is going to be hosting Middle Ridge, and they're playing at the old South Range Stadium. Memorial Field in North Lima is where they will go to play that game. I'm very nostalgic about that, of course, because like I said, that is where I went to watch South Range throughout my whole youth and childhood. So very cool to see Heartland Christian keeping that field alive. They are going to be in action tonight. Let's bring up the rest of the schedule. and then we'll go over who's where as far as announcers on YSN and games you can watch live. That's boys soccer with Mill Ridge and Heartland Christian. Newton Falls boys will also be traveling to Warren JFK. On the girls soccer side of things, Springfield will go to Crestview. Garfield will go to Champion. We have South Range going to Hubbard in the NE8. Edison and Beaver Local going to be squaring up today. Mooney will host Warren Harding. Poland will host Boardman. Then we also have Newton Falls and Waterloo, Lakeview and Struthers. We have Uniontown Lake going to Archbishop Hoban. And I think Ty Bartell is going to be on the call for that one, so make sure to tune in on YSN for that. Urston will travel to Canfield, and then Gerard goes to Niles on girls soccer. Then we'll go over to the volleyball world and Pymatuning Valley. They're having an Edgewood, celebration, I guess, because both their soccer teams played Edgewood last night, and tonight their volleyball team will play Edgewood as well. See if Pymatuning Valley can make the clean sweep to avenge their football team, which lost to Edgewood. No, I'm sorry, Edgewood beat Liberty. Well, they'll play Edgewood. So we'll see if Pymatuning Valley can make the athletic sweep with soccer and volleyball this week. Mooney will go to East tonight in volleyball. East 0-1 after the loss to Liberty last night. Crestview opens up their season with a big showdown at East Liverpool. Heartland Christian will go to Lisbon. By the way, our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, will be at Lisbon tonight for that Heartland Christian Lisbon volleyball game. So fans of both those teams, make sure to check out our Smug Mug after later on tonight to check out the pictures of that game. And those are all available for purchase, of course. Warren Harding will go to Cheney tonight. And then last but not least, Champion will go to Chalker tonight as well on the volleyball side of things. So those are the games in total. Let's go over the schedule on the network and who's going to be where announcer-wise. As we look on Wednesday the 23rd, we have 2 volleyball games that are going to be on the network tonight. Crestview will go to East Liverpool. Chris Sigler going to be on the call there. And then Eric Hughes is going to be traveling to East to get Mooney at East. So those 2 games will be live on YSN. Girls soccer action, we have 4 matches going to be live on the network. Urston and Canfield, Matt Marr will be on the call there. Ty Bartell is indeed going to Hoban to watch the Knights host Uniontown Lake. Let's see. Zach Swinson will be in Hubbard as South Range comes to town. And then CJ Bacco will be at Champion as Garrettsville Garfield comes into Champion for a game there. Don't forget that we have the Camel Memorial Show tonight at Tavern 26. And then at Coca's Pizza, we have the Canfield Show. DJ Yoakley will be at the Canfield Show at Coca's Pizza. And then Steve Leslie will be at the Camel Show at Tavern 26. Camel Canfield. That's easy to get tongue-tied, and I did not, which I am very proud of myself about. So that's what's going on tonight on the network. Obviously, very busy with sports shows, with volleyball, with soccer. You can watch until your heart's content at ysnlive.com/live. Scotty, thank you so much for taking the time to join us like you do every week on a Wednesday. You bring a lot to the show, and we thank you for your time every week. And we'll see you next week, buddy.
All right. Sounds good, Anthony. See you next week. Have a good one. Sneaky excited. I know it's just preseason, but sneaky excited for that Browns Chiefs this Saturday.
I don't think our starters are going to play. I think they played quite a bit in the second game. So I think Andy Reid will probably sit all of our starters for the whole game in that third preseason game to get a good look at everybody as they prepare to cut the rosters. But we'll see for sure. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2. Tomorrow's Running Point, we're going to feature Liberty Volleyball. We have their Coach's Corner with Coach Kelly Barley, as well as a player profile with the reigning Big Dog of the Year in volleyball, Lexi Muck, who is a senior at Liberty. So that'll both of those will be on the show tomorrow from 1 to 2. Make sure to tune in, and we will see you then. Enjoy your evening. Stay dry. It's supposed to rain a little bit. And we'll see you tomorrow from 1 to 2 on Running Point. Brought to you, as always, by Green.